There's a weight you carry that no one else in your house seems to feel. You walk into a room, and something inside you already knows what's wrong before anyone speaks. You wake up at 3 inches the morning, and your heart is pounding for reasons your mind cannot explain. You sit at the dinner table with people who love you, people who raised you, people who share your last name, and there's still a part of you that feels like a stranger sitting in your own chair. And for years you thought there was something broken in you. Something off, something you needed to fix. You went to therapy, you read the books, you tried the supplements, you tried to talk yourself out of the weight. Some Sundays you stood in church singing every word and still walked back to your car feeling like you were the only one carrying something the others couldn't see. But what if it was never broken at all? What if every single thing that made you feel different, every silence you couldn't fill, every tear that came out of nowhere, every time you knew something you had no business knowing what, if all of it was the exact thing God placed inside you on purpose? My name is George, and I've spent years sitting with believers who came to me whispering the same confession. Pastor, I feel like I don't belong here. Not in this family. Not in this town. Not in this skin sometimes. They thought it was depression. They thought it was anxiety. They thought it was a personality flaw they'd carry to the grave. It wasn't. It was a mark. The same mark John saw on the foreheads of the 144,000 inches. Revelation chapter 7. A seal placed by the living God before the 4 winds of judgment were released on the earth. And tonight, I'm going to walk you through 7 signs that this seal is on you. 7 things that 8 billion people cannot see. But the chosen ones, they recognize every single one of them the moment they hear the words spoken out loud. So if you're watching this right now, I need you to do something for me. Sit still. Put the phone down. Close the door if you have to. Because what you're about to hear, if it's true for you, is going to confirm something the Spirit has been whispering to your heart for a very long time. Sig 1. You feel things in rooms before anyone else does. The first sign is something most chosen ones learn to hide before they were even old enough to name it. You walk into a place, and within 30 seconds, your stomach knots up, or your chest gets heavy, or you feel an urgency to leave that you cannot explain to your wife, your husband, your friend, standing right next to you. You're not crazy. You're not anxious. You're discerning. Think about Elisha for a second. 2 Kings chapter 6. The king of Aram is sending armies in the night to capture the prophet, and Elisha, without ever leaving his bedroom, knows exactly what is being whispered in the enemy's war room. The king of Aram is losing his mind. He gathers his servants and demands to know which one of them is the traitor. And one of his men finally says it. None of us, my lord. It's Elisha, the prophet in Israel. He tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. That is what discernment looks like. It's not paranoia. It's not overthinking. It's the Spirit of God showing a chosen one what is happening in the unseen places that everyone else is blind to. I had a woman in my church who would refuse to walk into certain houses. Her husband thought she was being rude. Her mother-in-law thought she was being difficult. But every single time something would come out about that home weeks or months later. An affair. An addiction. A pattern of abuse hidden behind a perfectly mowed lawn. She wasn't judging anyone. The Spirit was warning her. If you have walked through life, feeling things in your body that other people don't feel, heaviness, urgency, a tightness in your chest when something is off, that is sign number 1. The seal is on you. Sign 2. You've been alone in seasons that should have been crowded. The second sign is one of the most painful, and it's one almost every chosen one has lived through. You've had moments in your life where you should have been surrounded, and you were completely alone. A graduation no one came to. A diagnosis no one called about. A breakthrough no one celebrated. A breakdown no one noticed. And you've quietly asked yourself the question 1,000 times. Why does this keep happening to me? I want you to look at Joseph. Genesis 37. 17 years old. His own brothers, the boys he grew up with, ate with, played with, strip him of his coat and throw him into a pit. They sell him for 20 pieces of silver. He goes from his father's favorite to a slave in a foreign country in the span of a single afternoon. And then it gets worse. He works hard for Potiphar, faithfully, honestly, and Potiphar's wife lies about him and he ends up in a prison cell. And in that prison, he interprets a dream for the king's cupbearer, and the cupbearer walks out of jail, gets his life back, and forgets all about Joseph for 2 whole years. 2 years. Why does God let this happen to his chosen? Because the loneliness is the workshop. The pit, the prison, the forgotten years, that's where the Spirit hammers something into you that crowds and noise could never produce. Joseph could not have governed Egypt if he hadn't first sat alone in that cell long enough to learn that his identity was not in his coat, not in his family's approval, not in the cupbearer's memory. His identity was in the God who never left him in any of those rooms. If you have been alone in seasons that should have been crowded, that is not rejection. That is preparation. That is sign number 2. Sing. 3 words come out of your mouth that you didn't plan. The third sign is one that scares chosen ones the first few times it happens. You're in the middle of a conversation with someone, a coworker, your sister, the cashier at the grocery store, and out of your mouth comes a sentence you did not plan, a sentence you didn't even know you knew. And the person across from you starts crying, or freezes, or looks at you like you just read their diary. You walk away thinking, where did that come from? That came from the same place Samuel's voice came from when he was a little boy lying in the temple. 1 Samuel chapter 3. He hears his name and he runs to Eli the priest, thinking the old man is calling him. He does this 3 times, and finally Eli realizes, this isn't me, son. This is the Lord. Lay back down, and the next time you hear the voice, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. And from that night on, the Bible says God let none of Samuel's words fall to the ground. Not one. A chosen one carries words. Sometimes they're for someone else. Sometimes they're for a moment you weren't expecting. Sometimes they come out at the dinner table, or in a hospital waiting room, or on the phone with a friend at midnight. And you'll hear yourself saying things you couldn't have prepared in 1,000 years of study. Don't be afraid of it. Don't shut it down. The Spirit is using your mouth as a vessel the way He used Samuel, the way He used the prophets, the way He uses every chosen one who learns to lay down at night and say, speak, Lord. Your servant is listening. If words have come out of you that you didn't plan, and they landed in someone else's heart in a way you couldn't have engineered, that is sign number 3. Sign 4. You are drawn to broken people, and they are drawn to you. The 4th sign is something you've probably noticed since you were a child. You sit down on a park bench, and within 5 minutes, a stranger is telling you about her divorce. You're at a wedding, and the guy at your table, the one no one else is talking to, is suddenly opening up about his addiction. You're in line at the pharmacy, and the woman in front of you turns around and tells you about the son she just buried. And your family looks at you like, what is it about you? I'll tell you what it is about you. You carry the same thing Jesus carried when the woman with the issue of blood pressed through a crowd just to touch the hem of his garment. Mark chapter 5. There were hundreds of people around him. The disciples are basically saying, Lord, everyone is touching you. What do you mean, who touched me? But Jesus knew, because virtue went out of him, because the broken recognized something in him that the religious crowd could not see. The chosen ones carry a frequency that broken people can hear from miles away. The drug addict on the corner, the grieving widow at the supermarket, the cousin everyone else gave up on. They will find you. They will sit next to you on the airplane. They will pour their soul out to you in the parking lot of a Walgreens at 10 o'clock at night. And here's what most people miss. This is not a burden. This is the assignment. The harvest is plentiful, Jesus said. The workers are few. You were sent here to be a worker. You were sent here so that the bleeding woman in the crowd would have somebody to press toward. I remember a man in my congregation, a quiet, gentle soul who worked construction his whole life, who told me one Sunday that he was tired. He said, George, every job site I walk onto, By the end of the week, the loneliest guy on the crew is sitting next to me eating his lunch. The man with the dying mother. The man whose wife just left. The young kid whose father never came home. He said, "Pastor, I don't even open my mouth half the time. They just come." I looked at him and I said, "Brother, that's not coincidence. That's calling. You're a moving altar. You're a walking sanctuary. The Spirit is using your presence, not even your words, just your presence to be a refuge for souls who don't know where else to go. Some of you carry the same anointing. You don't have to preach. You don't have to teach. You don't have to stand on a stage. The presence of Christ inside you is doing the work before you ever say a word. And the broken hearts in this country, and there are millions of them, right now they are being drawn to chosen ones in coffee shops and grocery store lines and waiting rooms, because the field is white and the workers are scattered all over this land like seed. If broken people are drawn to you and you are drawn to them, even when you'd rather just be left alone, even when it costs you something, even when you don't have the answer they need, that is sign number 4. The mantle is on you whether you asked for it or not. Sign 5. The enemy hits you harder than he hits ordinary souls. The 5th sign is one that can feel cruel until you understand what it means. You have noticed, probably for years now, that life seems to come at you with a different intensity than it comes at the people around you. Your sister sails through her 30s. You almost lost your mind in yours. Your coworker gets engaged, married, pregnant, promoted in 5 years. Meanwhile, you watch 2 relationships fall apart, lost a parent, almost lost your faith, and crawled through a depression no one in your family even noticed. You've thought, why is everything always so hard for me? I want you to look at Job. Job chapter 1. There is a meeting in heaven. Satan walks in, and God himself points to Job and says, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him in all the earth, a blameless and upright man." Notice something. God didn't point to the guy down the road. God didn't point to the average believer. God pointed to his chosen. And the moment he did, the enemy's attention turned. Within a single chapter, Job has lost his children, his livestock, his health, his standing, and his wife is telling him to curse God and die. The enemy does not waste artillery on souls who are no threat to him. He aims his fiercest weapons at the ones carrying the most weight in the spirit. The chosen attract the heaviest fire not because God has abandoned them, but because hell knows what's coming out of them if they ever fully wake up. Sitia, variação 3. The calling is wide. The instructions reach only a few. If there is a burning in your spirit right now, do not minimize it. That is the sign. The secret protocol delivers the 7 keys God reserved for those who are ready to unlock what was sealed inside them before birth. The full audiobook is included to absorb in depth, in your own time, in the presence of God. And the Awakening Map, the bonus guide that reveals the 5 stages of spiritual awakening and positions you with precision at the exact point of your journey today. Link pinned in the first comment. For a limited time only, because not every door stays open forever. If life has hit you harder than it hits ordinary souls, and somehow you're still standing, still believing, still here, that is sign number 5. Hell knows your name, and so does heaven. Sign 6. You see things in dreams that come true. The 6th sign is one that chosen ones often keep hidden their whole lives because they're afraid people will think they've lost their mind. You see things in your sleep. Conversations, before they happen. Faces you've never met that show up 2 weeks later in a coffee shop. Warnings about loved ones that come true in ways you wish they hadn't. And you've buried these dreams in a notebook, or in your phone, or in the back of your mind, because the few times you tried to share them, somebody made you feel foolish. But this is exactly what God told Joel would happen in the last days. Joel chapter 2. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. This is not metaphor. This is operational. This is happening right now in the chosen ones who are scattered across this country and across this earth. Daniel had dreams that troubled him so deeply, he had to ask the angel Gabriel to come and explain them. Joseph, the same Joseph in the pit, the same Joseph in the prison, had dreams as a teenager that finally made sense 13 years later, when his brothers were bowing before him in Egypt, asking for grain. Pilate's wife had a dream that made her send her husband a warning about a man named Jesus on the morning of the crucifixion. Jacob saw a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels going up and coming down. And he woke up and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." That's the line every chosen one eventually has to whisper to themselves. Because all those years you thought you were just a strange sleeper, a vivid dreamer. Somebody with too much imagination, the Lord was in the place. The Spirit was working in the night what he could not get you to receive in the day. You were too busy, too distracted, too tired. So, he came when you finally got quiet, when your defenses were down and your hands were still, and he showed you what was coming. I had a sister in my church who dreamed about her brother's car accident 3 nights before it happened. She didn't tell anyone. She thought she was being morbid, and when the call came, she fell on the kitchen floor and screamed, not because of the accident, but because she had been warned, and she didn't know warnings were something God still gave his people. She thought that stopped with the apostles. She thought she was just having nightmares. She wasn't. She was being commissioned. And after that day, she started writing every dream down, and the Lord started using her, in private moments, to pray for people before they even knew what was coming for them. If you have been seeing things in your sleep that you cannot explain, write them down. Do not throw them away. The Spirit is rehearsing things with you in the night that you will need in the day. That is sign number 6. Sign 7. A holy restlessness will not let you settle. And we come to the 7th sign, the one that ties all the others together, the one that probably brought you to this video tonight in the first place. There is a restlessness inside of you that no amount of comfort can quiet. You can have the marriage, you can have the house, you can have the paycheck and the vacation and the Sunday morning service and the small group on Wednesday, and there will still be something inside of you whispering, "This is not it. There is more." You were made for more, and you have hated this restlessness sometimes because it has made you ungrateful for things you know you should be grateful for. You've prayed it away. You've tried to medicate it with hobbies, with food, with relationships, with new churches. Nothing works. It always comes back. That is the same fire that burned in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 20, verse 9. He says, "If I say I will not mention him, or speak any more in his name, there is in my heart as it were a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I am weary with holding it in, and I cannot." The chosen ones are wired for fire. You can run from it. You can try to bury it. You can try to drown it in noise and busyness and entertainment. But it will not let you settle. It will keep waking you up at 3 in the morning. It will keep showing up when you're driving alone in your car. It will keep tugging at you in the middle of the most ordinary conversations until you finally turn around and face it. And here is what I want you to hear tonight, beloved. That restlessness is not your enemy. That restlessness is the very voice of God. He sealed you for a reason. He marked you for a reason. He let you walk through the loneliness, the dreams, the strange knowing, the broken people, the heavy battles for a reason. You were never broken. You were assigned. The 144,000 inches revelation are not a metaphor. They are a remnant. They are the ones who would not bow. They are the ones who would not soften the message. They are the ones who carried the seal on their foreheads through the worst hour of human history and came out on the other side, standing on Mount Zion with the Lamb. If you have felt the 7 things we walked through tonight, then I am telling you with everything in me, you are not lost. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are sealed. And the only thing left is for you to stop running from it and start walking in it. So tonight, before you close this video, I want you to do one thing for me in the comments. Don't say amen. Don't say blessed. Tell me which sign hit you the hardest, and tell me why. Was it sign number 2, the loneliness? Was it sign number 5, the heavy attacks? Was it sign number 6, the dreams that came true? I read every single one. And sometimes the Spirit gives me a word for somebody from what they wrote. So don't hold back. Tell me what broke open in you tonight. Tell me which one you've been carrying alone for too long. And then come back tomorrow. Because there is more. There is always more for the chosen.